Actually, I want to marry even earlier than that.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
So how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. As you can see, it's raining very heavy outside, and alhamdulillah, the masjid is quiet.
Right.
People are just taking rest here.
Right, exactly. So this is why. So tell us like where we are right now.
Right now, we're here in Taipei, in the Taipei Grand Mosque. So this is basically like the oldest and also the main masjid in Taiwan. So if you are a tourist, you come to Taiwan, then this is like a must-visit place for you.
Right, exactly. So first and foremost, please tell us your name and where are you from?
My name is Abdulla. I'm originally from Taiwan, of course. I'm not actually a convert. I'm a born Muslim. Both of my parents are Muslims. My father is a convert. So I was born in Saudi Arabia, and I also lived in multiple countries while growing up, so including Belgium and Turkey. Nowadays, I'm just living in Taiwan. So I have been serving in this community for the last couple of years, almost about 5 years, mostly doing the community dawah work.
What is the hardest part of being a Muslim in Taiwan personally?
I mean, I would say most people would probably say it has to do with food and so on, food and praying. But honestly and personally, I think that's only a secondary issue. I think a primary issue is that this whole identity for a Muslim living in Taiwan, especially the local Muslims, I mean, because when you actually compare the Muslims like a few decades ago and today, you will notice that the local Muslims are decreasing. Nowadays, of course, alhamdulillah, we have more and more foreign Muslims, and especially Indonesian, and also there are a lot of intermarriages between them. But the problem is that for a lot of the non-Muslims and even the Muslims, they don't feel that Islam is in their lives. They feel that this is, if I want to be a good Muslim, then it means that I need to kind of get rid of my culture. I need to learn another language. I need to eat different food. So even in terms of halal food, nowadays in Taipei you can find a lot of halal food, but still, even in terms of the diversity of halal food, it's still not that localized. So you cannot find that many Taiwanese halal food. You'll be able to find biryani. You can find nasi goreng. You can find all these types of different food, but local Taiwanese food, even me, I'm still not familiar with Taiwanese halal food. Yeah. So you can see that, of course, the community is growing, alhamdulillah, but I still think that there is still a long way for us in order to kind of help the local Muslims feel that Islam is actually part of their religion. It's not a foreign religion.
Actually, referring to the sentence you told us about like the culture, because Taiwan is mostly filled with non-Muslim people living here, whether it's foreign or local. Whereas, as you said, at the same time, Muslim is also growing, not only in Taiwan but all over the world. So how do we actually balance between culture and the growing of like this rapid growth of Muslim in this age and era?
Yeah, so it's very natural to see that there are going to be a mix of culture now because of globalization. There's going to be, especially for example in Taiwan, you can see that the issue of people not marrying, people not having kids, the low birth rate, this is a growing issue in Taiwan. So obviously when you don't have babies, local babies, then obviously you're going to have intermarriages. And when you have intermarriages, you're going to have different culture. So I can already foresee that there is going to be a change in how the general culture is going to be like in Taiwan. Like even in terms of, for example, nowadays there are more and more Indonesians in Taiwan. So a lot of people marrying with Indonesians. So I feel like, generally speaking, people are kind of used to seeing many Indonesian culture even in Taiwan. So I think culture can always change. I don't think there's any issue with that. I actually would encourage that, there are more understanding between these different cultures. So what I really care in the end of the day is which of them do you feel more belonging to? Which of them do you feel that, okay, this is my culture, this is where I belong to? Yeah, because the Taiwanese society, I would say, it's also a little bit similar to, for example, the US, that there's no strong cultural identity. Like I don't have a strong, like costume or the food or this whole cultural identity is not that strong. So there's the good side and the bad side. The good side is that if today a non-Muslim, a Taiwanese non-Muslim wants to become a Muslim, I mean, they don't have so much pressure from their culture. Like I don't need to, change that much. But at the same time, they also don't have a strong cultural identity, which means that they're not gonna feel that any of this is part of their culture. Because you see some people wearing like batik, and some people wearing like thou, but they don't feel like, oh, this is like our culture. So part of the work that I'm doing is also to kind of strengthen our own culture, which is that we usually in my khutbah, I would be wearing Chinese traditional clothing, just to spread a message, to let them know that this is part of Islam as well. It doesn't mean that just because I am doing khutbah, in order to become a good Muslim, I have to wear like an Arab. So that is like a message that we kind of need to revive, because obviously this is a problem for many people when they start to learn about Islam.
So it leads to the next question, which, what do you think is the best way to introduce Islam to non-Muslim in Taiwan?
So every culture has their own, sensitive parts when it comes to talking about religion. So for example, in Taiwan, I think generally speaking, one of the good parts in Taiwan is that people are very respectful to different religions. So they don't want to offend religions. They don't want to say your religion is bad or anything. So you don't see Islamophobia in Taiwan. But at the same time, it's also because they treat every religion as total equal, which means that if you say that your religion is better than the other one, then you are causing troubles in our society. So of course, when we are trying to talk about Islam with the non-Muslims, I would never compare the different religions just to show that ours is better. I think that will cause a lot of issues. So rather than showing that, oh, we are better, just to simply show the beauty within it. And so of course, depending on individuals as well, because some people are more emotional, some people are more rational. So it also depends on, through your conversations, through the trust that you build between you and the person, then I think that is sometimes even a more effective way. Because, in the end of the day, we are people, and people trust people. So if you're able to make another person trust you, because some people, like for example, a stranger might tell you very, very nice arguments. They can tell you, they can have these strong debate skills, but if they don't trust you as a person, then whatever you say, they're just not gonna believe it. So it's very important that when foreigners come to Taiwan, or Taiwanese people talking to Taiwanese people, we need to make sure that first we have to build that bridge, and then we can start sending that message in an effective way.
On your Instagram page, you mentioned that you got married at the age of 23 years old.
Yeah.
And was there any particular idea or moment that made you to that decision?
Actually, I want to marry even earlier than that, by the way of Allah, and because I feel like there's the biggest part of unknown would be my future family. Because I might be able to plan so many things, like, okay, now I have a job, I can do this and that in 2, 3, 5 years. But the biggest factor that can change everything is having a family. So having a wife or having children. So I just want to make sure that I got this figured out, so I am able to kind of plan for my future and how I can, I have a better sense of what I really want and to know myself as a person. And I have to say that, marriage does change everything. I think in terms of the barakah of everything as well, because all of my dawah work and the community and the business, they all started only after I got married as well. Before I got married, I feel like, oh, I already got this figured out. I have a nice job, good salary, and so on. But only after marriage, you start to really realize that the barakah in everything. It's not necessarily about the amounts, but even with limited amount, you can still maximize the experience with it.
What if a brother or a sister wants to get married young?
Yeah.
But they lack proper sexual and financial education. What do you think about that?
So this is somewhere where there is a lot of discussion and flexibility, and it also depends on the culture as well. What I will say that there is a balance in everything. I would not encourage, I would definitely not encourage all the young people, no matter what condition, just go marry. But at the same time, I will also not say that, oh, don't, only figure out everything, then you choose to marry. Like there is a middle ground in that. And that will also depend on which culture you belong to and how people perceive marriage and how your family perceive marriage as well. So obviously if somebody who has yet to figure out what job am I going to do, I don't have any experience in working, I don't have any confidence in working, I still don't know what kind of a person I am, then I think you do need to work on yourself a little bit before you can actually at least take care of yourself. Then you're able to take care of somebody else. But of course, it's hard to just define a fine line to say, okay, once you reach that you're ready for marriage. Obviously, at the end of the day, you kind of have to figure that out yourself. What an ideal marriage looks like to you, and what are you willing to sacrifice to get that kind of result? Because a lot of times people only think about what I'm going to get in the marriage, but they don't think about what am I going to sacrifice in order to get that. So that is something I would say to anybody who is planning to get married early.
Last question is, what is your message to all Muslims in the world who's watching this, struggling with their faith?
So my message would be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created all of us differently. We all had a different start. But what matters the most in the end is not how big of an achievement that you can create, but the sincerity that you put into your effort. So just as an example, we have people who are born in a Muslim family, just like myself, and there are also people who are born in maybe a non-Muslim family and they're not Muslim. But in the end of the day, Allah is not gonna, care whether you started in a born Muslim family, so now you can have a higher chance of getting into Jannah. In the end of the day, even as a born Muslim, you need to research and you need to learn about your own religion and you need to study, and then you have to be convince yourself so that you can practice it inwardly and also outwardly as well. And it's the same for everybody else, and Allah is the most fair. So don't feel of course for some people you can struggle in your faith. That's something that's I wouldn't say it's necessarily acceptable, but it is natural and it is common. But we shouldn't be too much fixated on how bad I'm doing, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, but rather after that down low moment, what have you done to get back up again? So that's my message for anybody who's struggling with their iman.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Abdullah, and hopefully we can do another interview next time, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.